Well, good evening. Welcome to a very exciting conference finals match here for Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 4. We have Andy of Team PugTrio facing off against Wayne of Team Error 216 in a very exciting Game 4 for the Ambrosia mode, which often you don't actually get to see this very often. Error 216 is up 2-1, and so if Andy and PugTrio want to keep the series and their hopes of advancing into the league brackets of next stage alive, they need to absolutely clench out a win here. I am Clearmouse. Joined here with me today is the one and only creator of the Link to the Past League, Fear Agent. Fear,
do you want me to help you with some words today? Because I feel like you're losing a little bit as we get started.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll be your wordsmith.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Are you excited here?
I'm very excited. This is the conference semifinals, so they're playing for a chance to make the conference finals, which would be would happen with a Boyne win. Andy obviously trying to prevent that and trying to force a Game 5 Retrance co-op, which would be between Solsky and Futon and Arian Dunka. So
yeah,
you know, I don't want to say I'm rooting for anyone here, but a Game 5 Retrance between these two teams would be a whole lot of fun. So if you want to see that, you want to see Andy, Error 216 obviously not wanting to see that, not because they don't want to play the mode, but because they want to be in the conference finals. So, you know what I mean? So,
I'm not actually sure. I mean, so as you said, like the Retrance co-op would basically be the other two members of the team, not here. But we're starting off already in Inverted for Ambrosia. All right, so Andy finding a glove actually immediately out of his house, and we're already demonstrating actually kind of the dangers here of early Dark World, just because this is Dark World. We have 3 hard screen mail Ropas. It doesn't matter how early you come here, still always do 2 hearts of damage.
Oh, and the tree pool is bombed, so that's really nice. So he's able to open up Pipe Cave right away.
Yeah,
if that wasn't there, you could actually use that glove to farm up some bombs just past where Boyne was by the Dark Sink. And the mirror, that's probably the most important item in Inverted.
Yeah, so the good news is for Blaine is that the mirror is a pretty obvious spot, right? I mean, we're definitely going to go high cave sooner rather than later, and so that was going to be actually the one item that basically decided the win from Blaine and Andy's last match. So really good to see in this case, but Andy's like first 2 checks, what was basically the glove and the mirror.
And the mirror, so, that's huge.
All right, looks like Andy's going to farm up, a little bit more resources as he makes his way over, presumably to Stumpy. Hopefully, he's going to get some more money, basically.
Yeah, he's going to need money if he wants to do the race or the arrow game here.
Yeah. So so of course, for those of you who may not have seen, I guess, too much of Inverted mode, the arrow game is actually quite popular just because, as long as you know the setup in order to basically get 5 hits in a row, you can get some pretty fast and easy money. No money today, though.
Stumpy, though. That's nice. Yeah. So, Clearmouse, what is Ambrosia? Because we talked about Inverted, but this is not just Inverted. This is Ambrosia.
Yeah, no, so this is actually a great question, Fear. So Ambrosia sounds a lot like Inverted and Ambrosia. Ambrosia, of course, was one of the brainchild of the one and only Boyne here. So as part of Ambrosia, we get Starting Sword, which I'm not actually sure if Boyne remembers. He still needs to maybe swing it a couple times or 2 in that statue room. But we do have seen that Andy, of course, started it from the beginning.
I'm excited to find out when Boyne realizes he does have a sword.
I mean, so far he seems to be doing okay. And of course, so the other probably most notable thing is that there is a big key shuffle. So we are going to have 1 additional item within our dungeons today. And also like Ambrosia, thanks Boyne for your double heartbeats, we are going to actually have a guaranteed non-dungeon item on the boss.
It's funny that Andy
okay.
Boyne was the first to Skull Woods, but Andy is first to get both gloves.
Yeah.
So we're now just a moon pearl away from Light World access.
Light World access, actually, So of course, this part of the Inverted, I guess, features is that because you're kind of jettisoned into the Dark World pretty early, right? You are actually going to be looking for that Light World access, and Light World, of course, is a pretty good solace, especially early on when we are on such low health and equipment. Of course, the flip side, though, right, is that when you're playing a non-inverted or more or less like a regular seed, right, you know, start the light world, you got, you know, some good, you know, limited set of options, right? But of course, now if we get some early light world access, especially with those myths, the entire light world open, you know, is basically open to you, right?
Yeah.
So you have actually quite the decision tree for what you want to do.
Yeah, myths are actually really interesting in inverted because they can only unlock like King's Tomb, I think, logically. Like there's ways to get to everything else without the myths,
That's
except
right,
for King's
yeah.
Tomb. Especially with that early mirror, which Boyne here is about to pick up.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very happy to see this.
Yeah. And so I think the last thing with Ambrosia is
oh yes, that's right.
something that's carried over from Ambrosia, which is that all bosses will have a non-dungeon item on them. So
do you know what the one thing that I really wish got carried over from Ambrosia to Inversia, Fear?
the boots hint.
I really wanted the boots hint. You are absolutely on the mark there. You know, unfortunately, right in Ambrosia, or sorry, in Ambrosia, Uncle will end up giving you the hint because it is standard, and you know he will basically tell you on his way out to you know to certain doom. Here, unfortunately, we don't really have an uncle, you know, greeting us on our way to our adventures. So unfortunately, the hint is going to be lost to history. Now, what is Blaine doing? Because he has the mitts. Yeah, that's right. So he can actually make his way over here to the village of Outcasts. This is actually pretty interesting sequencing.
There's the Boom Pro. I'm actually a little disappointed that we have such early light world access, because I think one of the funnest things about this mode is the fact that the Moon Pearl can be in some pretty rough places. But now that they have access to these, Boyne's still realizing what mode he's playing, trying to mirror at the race game. But that's not going to work since the mirror works in the light world, not in the dark world here.
So hopefully, you know, Boyne's going to kind of just shake off this initial, you know, hiccup basically in inverted mode as a very good reminder, because he is now constantly using the mirror to remind himself that, as you just said, Fear, the mirror only works in light world to dark world and not the other way around. But of course, the good news for him is that, you know, we saw Andy pick up that Moon Pearl in Thieves Town, which of course, you know, he is also here in the Village of Outcasts. It looks like I should get some extra money as well. So we're going to basically be pretty set here to go to the light world, which is Andy, is exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, and this is actually going to go really fast and nicely since they do have that mirror. So they can, like when they check the race game, they can actually mirror and do the dig game as well. So we're going to see a lot of checks here as Andy heads into Kakariko. So
yeah, and almost, you know, we basically said this was going to be an Ambrosia seed. I mean, you know, 6 minutes in, you know, we're already headed into Kakariko basically on Andy's side. You know, we could pretty much, you know, it's also as if this was just a regular you know, inverted standard seed type of deal.
Yeah. Now, Andy's got a lot of practice with the craziness of Rando. Like, he plays all sorts of different types of modes. Boyne is mostly known as an NMG runner nowadays, and does still play a little bit Rando, but mostly focuses on like the casual boots modes.
Yeah. So Boyne is certainly very well. He has very strong suits in the more or less. I won't always say like standard, but more like the more fundamental, you know, ritual modes, right? You know, casual boots, standard, open. You know, versus Andy, you know, actually don't really matter what he thrown. Crisscross, door, shop, sanity, you know, insanity, entrance, whatever. Like Andy's more than capable of doing it. Meanwhile, though, you know, actually it looks like we're actually getting quite a good, you know, quite a few number of goodies here, including Canis and Mario. It's gonna be pretty useful for Ice Palace, of course, among you know, our other, you know, Dark Pool dungeons. You know, especially for Misery Mire and Turtle Rock. We also got a shovel, looks like, which Andy could actually then end up checking as soon as he makes his way to the south.
Yeah, he might be because he's heading back north. He might be heading over to like the sanctuary spot, Lost Woods, because those can kind of be a little isolated. It's I don't know the best way, because inverted isn't played a ton. It's hard to say which the best route is.
Yeah, and
because there's certain, you know, like Kakariko obviously is a very dense spot. But when do you go to South Shore? When do you check, you know, Escape? When do you go to like Saha? There's a lot of different questions that I don't know we really have the answers to.
Yeah, no, and you actually do bring up a really good point. So, very much, people are very accustomed and familiar with how to route the light world, right? In a non-inverted method. Here in inverted, remember, when we save and quit, we don't start at regular sanctuary, we start at dark sanctuary, right?
Yeah.
You do not get a flute here in the light world. So so actually one of the most inconvenient places for us to reach to potentially is actually like the potion shop, because if you have a flute, let's go to spot 2, right? That's not really gonna happen here in inverted.
Yep.
Right. So Andy is
the next big
out.
piece is obviously going to be the hammer. Hammer is such an important item in this game. Unlocking a lot of the dungeons. We see our pendant and crystal layout. We've got pendants over at, it looks like Hera, Pod, and Skullwoods. Big shout out to our tracker today, Scott G239. Keeping track of that for us, because this seed is moving fast and furious, and it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on.
6-minute light world access, right?
Yeah.
How often do you get that to be able to happen? Not very frequently. And of course, I should do something.
Yeah, it's weird to see not only that, but mitts and everything that quickly in this mode.
Yeah, so hopefully they're going to be able to find Hammer, as you said, sooner rather than later, just because, it's very similar in this case. When we have an early mid seed for regular non-inverted seeds, late Hammer actually can be, quite the tedium, I guess, in order to kind of make your way out through the world. And it's going to be very similar here in inverted. Andy, though, ends up picking up a pretty nice Master Sword from Great Girl Legend. As you see, one of the changes for inverted is that, we don't need a mirror, because this, we just get a free staircase up, because normally you would actually need the mirror in order to go from light world to dark world. Sorry, dark world to light world, but inverted, we don't have that option.
Yeah, I think one of the most confusing sections in inverted is Death Mountain, because there's, you think about how you have a mirror and you can like go up to Hera. Well, it's not necessarily how it works in this mode here.
Yeah, no, and you actually see that here. Typically, right, in a non-inverted, you would save and quit, start a sync, check the sync chest, right, and then do a quick save and quit out. After getting the 3 chests from the back of escape, you see actually Andy walking out of sanctuary, because once you save and quit, you lose basically your access to the light world. And you have to go find your one portal. In this case, again, which, especially without boots, it's going to be a pretty long track back here.
And you see why the mitts aren't fully needed, because Boyne was able to pick up that smith just using the mirror here.
Yeah, all right. So Blaine, of course, maybe, the previous race that he had with Andy is influencing to do the Smith chain here early. And, of course, from game 1, not to rub any salt on any wounds. He is making sure that he picks up the prize with the Smith. Nothing of consequence for this particular seed, but, it's a good peace of mind. I'm sure that you have that prize.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing about this, though, is he still hasn't done dig game, I don't believe. And with that purple chest, he won't be able to do dig game.
Yeah, he's going to have to come back. That's right.
Yeah. And that's a rod. Oh, the fire rod.
Oh, that is the fire rod. Okay, so what do you think? You think we're going to get boots hopefully sooner?
Well, I mean, they're going to need the boots. Now, where the boots are is a whole nother question, because the fire rod can unlock some stuff. Obviously, Turtle Rock and Ice Palace. So we can get Ice Palace if we find Bombos. Skullwoods being a pendant means we don't need the fire rod there. That information, though, is very good. Knowing that you have to do Aga in this seed is always good information. And I do see Boyne swinging that sword, so he did figure that out. So that's good.
That's good. Yeah, no, that's good. And especially, actually, as you mentioned, that this is actually a required Aghanim seed, because we, of course, have some requisite crystal dungeons that require the fire rod. We do actually have everything we need in order to get into and complete Aghanim or Castle Tower. We have a Master Sword, got a cape if we want to get into there. Big keep to Eastern, which is
that shovel is
required.
Yeah, very required. And I think we saw the Thieves Town big in the back of Escape there on Andy's side.
Okay. That's actually also another required big key, so it certainly could be good for Andy. Yeah, and of course, this Andy's also demonstrating. It doesn't matter actually whether you have boots or not. We're gonna try to limit the number of mountain climbs as we can and inverted as much as we can because it's even longer in this case. And if you have to walk up here multiple times, it is quite the time drain.
It is. We see the purple chest has the pod big key, which is also a pendant. So there's another big key up there, which we can't get, even though we do have that mirror. That is hammer locked.
Yeah, that's right. Because to get the item on Spectacle Rock, you actually have to go all the way around.
Yeah,
mirror's not gonna help you in this case.
Yeah, here is a lot less convenient in inverted. And my least favorite part about inverted is this old man turn in. It is so slow.
Yeah,
and a lot of times you have to do it as a bunny. As we see powder over on Boyne's side.
Yeah, so Boyne is actually checking out, it looks actually a good number of, I guess, like fetch quests, right? We had to go turn in the shovel in order to get something. We're going to pick up the powder. We don't actually have, so we're eventually going to have to go turn that in as well. But Boyne is, taking some pretty divergent routes here, going basically, he's basically taking the south, while Andy is taking the north side into the mountain.
Yeah, I like this. With the mirrors, this allows him to get into the mire area. We see that desert is a crystal, which means the book is 100% required.
That's right.
Because it's the only way to get into desert in this mode.
Yeah, unlike, of course, regular non-inverted, right? You had the option. Of course, that was actually one of two outs for Boyne, right? Either the mirror or the book would have gotten him into desert for the last season. We are going to have to find that book hard required today.
So we see Mire Shed on Boyne's side, and we see Super Bunny Cave over on Andy's side. We got 3 bombs. And the second shield, that we've seen. And Super Bunny got $20 and a heart container. Okay.
Yeah, I'm wondering actually. So as Andy basically walked past where Ganon's tower would have been non-inverted, this is actually Agnum or Castle Tower. There, he did walk past it. I'm wondering if he's interested maybe in getting some extra equipment, or maybe just explore the rest of Dark Death Mountain before he ends up back there.
He could do that if he wanted to, but right now, since he's got the mitts, he can actually check out Paradox Cave, which is the most dense location outside of a dungeon in the game. So
yeah, and especially if we could find some better equipment, right? For example, the boots. Andy will be super happy.
Yeah, I think he's good. He's got a lot of hearts. He's got Master Sword. I think that's all right.
I do believe that even though Boyne is the one who has the NMG reputation, Andy has, I believe, dabbled in the vanilla game once or twice in his life. So I just think, as you're right, I believe he's quite good.
Yeah, I think he's got a sub.
I want to say he has a 124.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but I mean he has a very impressive energy time.
Which doesn't matter in inverted at all.
That's right. But and of course, climbing the castle tower is not going to be quite NMG just because you don't have those boots. But it's a very similar amount of health.
So again, Death Mountain being awful in inverted, because now you've got Mimic Cave you can do, but then you have to reclimb up, and then you have Spiral Cave you can do, and then they can't do Hera yet because there's no hammer, but it's a lot of reclimbs that you're kind of forced to do. And there's the book and the boots.
Oh, there's the boots and Mini Molder Cave. Oh man, our Boyne is already happier than he's ever been. He probably, when he first saw the book, he's like, oh, I have to go back to desert. I was just over there. But you know what? We've got boots. We can run as fast as we possibly can.
Yeah, I don't think he's incentivized to go back to desert. Not without the big key, at least.
That is certainly true. We do have a fire source, but we cannot get to the back of this case without.
And it's only one item because you know that the other item is on the boss since it is in Roja. So I think you're probably going to put that off until
but it's big key shuffle, right? So we have one more.
Oh right. There's 2 items, sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 items in the front. Okay. There's 2 items in the front. Yeah. But still, like it's he was just over there. I mean, you basically are going to be thinking like this, to route this as basically how do you route this fluteless, right? And more running is better than walking, but it's still not going to be super great. Wayne actually. Okay. Oh, he sells his water walk. That's right. He sells down the island, but he would have lost his water walk in this case if he actually climbed up the stairs and gotten the bottle. So he's probably going to want to check out.
Either.
Yeah. So he's probably going to check this out. check maybe it's on the ledge and then go back, or maybe he'll just go back, and so he doesn't isolate the ledge or the Zora check immediately.
You
Or
can see
he
why.
just check it.
Yeah, you can see why Andy wanted to come up here though. Like Paradox, which had almost nothing. You see the big key to Misery Mire, which is going to be required. But there's so many checks. Just not a lot of like real progression yet for him, unfortunately.
And Andy is doing a really good job here doing his boostless laser skeps. I mean, it's not easy.
Flippers though.
I'm very happy for Blaine that he remembered that he is in the light world. He can actually check Catfish and Zora from Zora's from the light world side first.
Yeah, it makes Catfish check not too bad when you got that. That's why the mirrors is so important in this mode, especially as early as they got it.
Andy, so he's on 1 heart in the conveyor room. I actually, so he did actually a really good job getting through. So normally you could just push press up, but he actually delayed with the sword spin there in order to try and delay some of the timing so he doesn't end up getting hurt.
Now this is one of the things about Inverted as well. So I remember when I first started playing Inverted, I hadn't played Cross Keys yet. So I didn't know about entering Turtle Rock the way Andy is doing, which had my, like, in my first inverted mode, it had my required flippers I didn't realize I could get to. But this shows you, like, if you're familiar with cross keys, how important knowing your entrances in Turtle Rock is.
Yeah, and actually maybe just to add to that, it's probably even more important that you know what the difference is between like the Mimic Cave entrance and like, when you drop down for the Turtle Rock back door or the safety door. You really, as you mentioned earlier, right? When you drop down and you make a mistake, the amount of time you have basically used to reclimb the mountain is just awful, right? You really don't want to make a mistake.
The amount of work that Andy's put in on this 1 heart is really impressive.
Yeah. So meanwhile, though, actually, we did see Wayne picking up one of the 2 bows in the seat from King's Tomb. So, with the big key to Eastern Palace, that actually could be another potential location he could go to. So you did mention earlier the pot is a pendant. He might end up trying to delay that, maybe. You know, just because maybe he's trying to get some more information, or he's just going to, you know, go over to that area.
I think what's most important here, which I think he'll do because he hasn't done Lost Woods yet, is to check that lumberjack tree. Like, he needs that information.
Yeah, that's true, actually, because, you know, he picked up the boots, which is actually something even more, maybe, you know, that's pointing to Ganon, or, you know, the lumberjack tree prize, right, that over Andy. And he's doing a really good job going backwards, you know, taking care to not basically get hit by these chunks. That fire rod would be super great in order to take out the Pokey, but unfortunately he's still sitting there waiting for Agonon's defeat.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the big key to Turtle Rock yet, which looks like it's going to be fire rod locked if it's not here. And it is.
Alright, Wade also making his way out of a regular sanctuary, so he also picked up his big key to Thief's Town in the back as well. And as we said, so we're basically making our trip over from south all the way looping up to north. So Wade's going to check Palm Rocks, and then he's going to check out the Lumberjack prize, and he will be also very pleasantly surprised in order to find that fire rod up there. I don't know if it's pleasantly surprised,
I don't know
he'll be happy to know it's there.
Yeah, he'll be happy to know it's there. I wouldn't call it a pleasant surprise. Still on the lookout for that hammer, though. Hammer could be in a lot of different places.
Now, I guess with the fire rod, and, well, I don't know, like, is Skullwoods going to be on the table for you? I mean, certainly if you ask some members of Team Air 216, you know, that they're very, there's some pretty strong opinions about whether or not you go into Skullwoods.
Well, I mean, they've done the front. I don't know about, it's 1 item in the back, right? Maybe 2? I can't remember how many items they opened in the front.
I want to say there's only 1, then we just found the gloves, right? That's what I want to say.
I think there might have been like a trash item too that we got. So I think there's just 1 item. Well, there's that's the green pendant, so it'd be 2. But so Andy making his way to South Shore. We'll probably doing a very similar route to what Boyne did earlier. And I imagine, well, I actually think we're going to see a little bit of a flip flop here. I think Boyne might head back up to the mountain from this location.
Yeah, and one of the differences that you mentioned earlier, right? So Boyne turned in the purple chest, which of course was required, or eventually, well, actually no, it was a pot, right? So maybe we don't know if it's required.
You don't know if it's required yet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but Andy, he's going to be able to do dig game that Boyne was not, and this actually could be a location that could make a difference. Boyne has been very vocal sometimes about skipping dig game or maybe delaying it, but this let's see what Andy ends up finding.
Yeah, this could be big. If you're rooting for PugTrio, you need it to be like a big key or something good.
If you need, if you're rooting for PugTrio or a Game 5,
right.
You are definitely rooting for something good to be here. That is decent.
Yeah, not great.
It's not something that's going to certainly make or break a seed, but a boomerang actually is certainly nothing to scoff at. It does actually help you. Certainly with for how familiar these guys are from using boomerang strats, that certainly could make some moves much easier for them.
Okay, so what are we looking for? We know where the fire rod is. We're gonna need the ice rod, so we have that possibility of being an ice rod hunt. We are gonna need that hook shot as well. We've seen the flippers on Turtle Rock. We know where the book is. The flute's not required. We need bombos for Meyer. So there's still a lot out there that we have not seen.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's actually just another part about, the inverted, right? So typically, when you want to go into Mystery Meyer, you are gonna just first thing you look for is where is that flute, right? But actually inverted, right? We know we have the mirror and we have the book, so we can actually get over to the Meyer area. The flute is gonna be could be quite nice. You still have to activate it in the light world, and you can still use it in the dark world in order to get around places, but oftentimes you're going to want to probably travel in light world more so than the dark world.
So where do you think? Just take a stab in the dark. Where's that hammer? Is it somewhere nasty like ice pellets or pod?
Oh, ice hammer and ice would be awful. I don't know if I would be surprised per se, but it's pretty awful. Wait is
still tempted to use that mirror.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, we saw this kind of earlier on. I believe actually even before this race started. Boyne, of course, being a very late substitute for Team Air 216, replacing their former member at the lane for the rest of the playoff series, and of course, it's a very natural substitution for Boyne to take over for the lane. I'm not actually sure if Boyne has as much familiarity with this particular mode. So kind of to see him maybe doing like a double take or maybe just hesitating a little bit before he makes his decisions.
So as we're basically we're going to see each one of them retrace the other steps. I know you did a little bit of homework. Do you think you could maybe give chat a little recap of how we got here?
Oh yeah, sure. So game 1 of the series, PugTrio versus Air 216. It was Futon versus Big Duncan and Casual Boots. Duncan ended up taking up the win, actually with an unfortunate lack of Smith prize claim from Futon because the Smith actually had the flippers, and we had 2 crystal dungeons that required flipper space, namely Swamp Palace and Ice Palace. So that was pretty unfortunate. Game 2 was Cross Keys for Soulseed versus Airy. Airy took an early lead with early glove off of Dark Old Man Rescue, and of course the other gloves was locked behind that, and Airy just kept his lead throughout. Game 3 reversed the situation between Boyne and Andy in Hard MC Shuffle, where Boyne did not do the Smith sequence mirrorless in order to get the mirror, in order to get his entry to Desert Palace. And here we are. Game 4.
Now, I didn't know Boyne hovered as well as he did.
Boyne has had practice.
Yeah, do you think that's partially knowing that you're racing Andy, he probably is going to do the same thing?
So that's actually a good question. I almost want to say that Boyne in general has just tried to be better at hovering, and in fact, I've actually seen him practice the pod hover. In order when you get to the bow lock side, and he's actually had some success. I mean, they do have the bow. This was Boyne has the bow in this case. I'm sure Andy probably get it sooner rather than later. But yeah, Boyne has definitely stepped up his boost techniques.
Yeah. So Andy going to be picking up his boots here. We'll be happy to see those. Still pretty early in, only 27 minutes here. We did see him dip into Swamp Palace since he was checking the dam and had those flippers. Doesn't have the hammer, so couldn't continue. But nice little check, see if hammer happened to be there. So Andy picking up his book and his boots and his booty.
Yeah.
As
So
Blaine gets his trash out of Paradox Cave. Man, that Paradox Cave had nothing. The Death Mountain honestly didn't have a lot. I think we saw flippers and maybe a key or two. Still on the hunt for the Bombos medallion.
yeah, and we're
Which
still.
will get us into Meyer. Which I think somebody found the Andy found the Meyer big key up there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Andy, of course, you're very happy, I'm sure, to get those boots. Well, and of course, sometimes Rando is just going to, you're just going to pick sometimes the route that does not have the items that you want early on, right? So in this case, he knew that if he decided to go south first, he would have picked those boots earlier, but well, that's sometimes it happens. Certainly, though, as you said, we're still very much looking for that hammer. It's going to probably be our next big ticket item. We still eventually have, of course, to do Agnum's tower and defeat Agnum to get our fire rod, and of course, we're still looking for that Bombos medallion and ice rod.
Boyne having a little bit of trouble with that bonk there, which is pretty free, so it's a little surprising to see. Looks like Andy going to be doing Aga and going to go get his fire rod. So got those boots right away since he knows he has to do this, and the fire rod is pretty important. Oh wait, so he forgot. I got my boots. Let's go check out Hookshot Cave first before I do this, so I don't have to make another trip. And that makes sense, grabbing these 4 checks real quick. This will get him ether, which if he wants could use in Aga Tower, but prioritizing that fire rod makes a lot of sense. And I imagine we'll see Boyne and his mountain trip doing the same thing.
Meanwhile, in Hookshot Cave, we do see Andy just gliding over to these chests, no problems whatsoever.
Where did Boyne get that bow?
He got it in King's Tomb, actually, as you mentioned very early on. Yeah. Because he took the north route, basically.
Yeah, so Andy did his South Shore checks, got his boots, did Ice Rod Cave, didn't do any of the flipper checks yet though. Just hightailed it right back to the mountain, clearing out Hookshot Cave, and then he's going to climb the tower here.
Yeah, and well, right. So part, of course, of the reason maybe Boyne especially could not end up doing some of the at least Zora himself, right? So he unfortunately did not have enough funds. Andy, meanwhile, though, after all of his adventures, he is actually over the 500 rupee thresholds.
Yeah. So we're gonna see a climb here from Andy. Not quite NMG though. Does have the Master Sword, no bow.
Yeah, no bow. We have quite the amount of health, along with that blue mail that he ended up picking up, and half magic. Not that he really has anything to use with it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course this is actually somewhat, I'm not sure if this is actually observational bias or anything like that, but it does actually seem like Agnum is more often than not required, for inverted seeds. Whether it's for some item on the Lumberjack or is just for regular light world access.
Yeah, that's true. And it's funny, someone pointed out in chat that Boyne hovered over that gap in Turtle Rock, though he has Samaria, so he could just
quick swap is just one of those things that it just takes too much effort, right?
Yeah. All right, so there's the Misery Marquee on Laser Bridge for Blaine.
Yeah, of course, Blaine, not that Andy, had any difficulty basically doing his boostless skips. Blaine, of course, maybe he's more familiar with doing boots skips.
Yeah, both. I mean, we're watching, two of the best in the community that have been doing it for a long time. So
yeah,
quite
actually, Andy putting that bread boomerang that he got out of Dig Game to pretty good use, right? Of course, one of the rooms that in this case we do for Castle Tower is actually to go and grab the key from the defeated guard in with the boomerang, right? And Blaine, without the boomerang or the hook shot, Blaine's gonna have to basically claw that key back on the ground, right? He can't actually just boom it over.
All right. As predicted, Boyne heading right back up the mountain, going to finish off Aga Tower as well, right behind Andy.
Yeah,
They're
thank goodness
pretty
for boots.
close as far as checks go. The big one being Boyne checking King's Tomb and getting that bow. When Andy gets there is tough to say because unlike regular open or standard, you don't have a save and quit spot there, right?
Yeah.
So getting back to King's Tomb is kind of a pain. We'll see when Andy prioritizes that, though.
Yeah, no, you actually do bring up a good point. Right, so on the one hand, right, Andy's doing Ganon. After his defeat, he's going to be able to claim Lumberjack, which of course has her fire rod. So that's going to be another opportunity for Andy. But
Yes,
as we did see earlier, though, Andy ended up picking up Graveyard Ledge already. So he's kind of already gone over to the right side. So he still may not be as incentivized to go over there.
Well,
so
he's still got he'll probably do it then because he's got Bonk Rocks as well. I think. Even though it doesn't have Graveyard Ledge, Bonk Rocks and then dashing over to King's Tomb is probably the best time to do it. And Boyne does have a couple extra checks. He did check Meyer's Shed. I don't believe there was anything there.
No, it was like 3 bombs and a shield.
And he did most of the water checks.
Yeah, and of course, actually, we've seen that after some of the random trash items that we found up in the mountain, Boyne is also over the 500 threshold. Of course, he did check everything around there, so I don't know if he's still willing to basically go back to Zora at this point.
Yeah, we totally forgot we still have Hyrule Castle.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. So of course, defeating Agnum does put you basically instead of on top of the pyramid, it puts you on top of the castle. After we of course get all our 7 crystals, the bat's going to crash very shortly close to there. So it makes a lot of sense for routing purposes. Andy's basically going to take care of this water.
One of the joys of watching these high tier NMG runners run the races is doing Aga Tower because. While they have better equipment as far as health goes, Boyne's running basically NMG Aga Tower with the Master Sword and the bow and putting on a clinic. So
yeah, no, I mean so Boyne of course he is one of the handful of people that has a 123, put in obviously a lot of time in order to get that PB. Andy, very much not the slash with the 124. Their execution, I mean, when we say it's top tier, it is top tier.
Yeah. Now they're gonna make liars of us and.
Even the top tier runners can't control how many Agnum blue balls that he throws at you. Wait. Showing us that his bow is still ineffective against Agnum himself. But maybe he's trying to do some RNG manipulation here.
I really like the red boom into the backwards double spin, the ball and chain guard into the corner. That was really nice. And then boom the key.
Andy, of course, hoping that Zelda Cell actually was going to be not the map, because that means it would have basically saved the jump over here to Dark Cross, but unfortunately that was not the case, and so we're going to have to go check the very last item here in the castle.
But they have the mirror, so it's not the worst.
Yeah. It's just that you would like to be able to save yourself this trip, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if there is any preference here between doing Dark Cross first versus, going to the back escape. If Boyne ends up doing this first, he could potentially skip out on Zelda Cell.
Yeah, I think you do the all the way to Zelda Cell first, just in case you don't have to do the back, the whatever it's called, Dark Cross.
Yeah, so perfectly, very normal 36-minute Uncle Check. This is actually, not even being sarcastic or anything, right? Like, this is very normal.
Yeah.
Because this is worth it. Yeah, and Boyne, of course, and Andy very much earlier demonstrating the post-Agnum light world. We have, the number of guards and security that have been placed randomly around the light world has just spontaneously exploded.
Yeah, and they gotten stronger and faster.
Yeah, like that red guard, basically just bullying both Boyne and Andy.
All right, so Andy gonna pick up his fire rod here from Lumberjack, and hopefully we'll be doing his Bonk Rocks King Tombs check, which I think he'll do.
Yeah, it looks like
he's gonna do it first. Yeah,
he's gonna. So this will make a lot of sense for Andy. He basically just go all the way to the right, and picking up. In this case, it'll be his bow from Kingstown, and then just make his way over to the left, and eventually probably ending his temporary-ish route at Lumberjack.
Yeah. So after they both get their fire rod, where do they head? What do you think? Eastern?
Eastern will certainly be, pretty good, right? We've actually delayed quite a number of dungeons in this case, but eventually, the goal is going to have to defeat all 7 crystals and claim their prizes. And so, yeah, that's going to be, it's probably going to be good to make some progress. We do have, of course, Thieves Town. We do have the big key there. That is probably going to be a pretty, easy access eventually to get there.
Yeah,
I think something.
I think you don't want to kind of put off Thieves Town in case you get a small key and miss out on an item there.
Yeah, oh, that's right. We have watched basically both these very excellent high execution runners get through Atom Tower. I had almost just forgotten that we're still missing that hammer.
Yeah. So I think Eastern, you have not only do you have Eastern, which is going to be 4 items, but you have Saha's Closet as well, so you have 3 more items there. And there is the fire rod for Andy. We'll see Boyne making this track here in just a second. It looks like Andy might be doing Skull Woods instead, which would make sense before going over to Eastern. You can get that green pendant and just finish off the whole Saha Eastern area.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Of course, Andy being in the light world, you see his mirror right out in front and center on his Y item, so he is most likely going to actually check the
pedestal.
Or not. I was gonna say he's book stopped over. Oh yeah, that's right. He needs the book first. Yeah. So check the ped, and then he's gonna mirror right in the back of Skull Woods, and then clear out Mothula and claim that green pendant.
Yeah, so I think it's just the 1 item on Moth. I don't think there's anything under the bridge. But I could be wrong. Well, there is at least the 1 item on Moth because of the
right? Because of no Skull Woods. Actually, let's see. Yeah, so it looks like Andy actually is going to check the bridge chest first. So maybe there is going to be another item.
Oh right, they got the Skull Woods big key. So I know they got the mitts. Okay, so there's the 2nd item. So the last item is on the boss because of the big key shuffle, right? So.
Right, yeah, right. And of course, as part of the Ambrosia feature, is that we are guaranteed a non-dungeon item on the boss here with Mothula. And of course, this, as you mentioned earlier, this being the green pendant, extra lucrative, basically, right? It's guaranteed to be actually another item. Can we eventually go over there? Yes.
What's Boyne doing? Is he checking the book?
I guess, yeah. Bombos traveled into desert. We still don't have the big key. But I guess Boyne is willing to venture out. Hopefully he remembers that he doesn't have the big key. Would actually be somewhat of a rude awakening if he decides to try and go to the back without it.
Yeah, this is a little spread. There's the hammer. Wow. Big call from Andy there.
Yeah, if you were hoping for Hammer Mothula to try and speed up that fight a little bit, you are going to have to wait an extra long time because Andy found the 3rd item, which is the hammer, which is what we've been looking for, among other things, on Mothula itself.
Wow, that is huge. That is huge for Andy and PugTrio. Boyne has to hightail it over to Skull Woods, and that's not an easy decision to make. Again, this isn't all dungeons. He might get that fire rod and head over to Eastern and start clearing that stuff out. And then if you're in Eastern, you might check pod. So we really need, for Error 216, Boyne to head to Skull Woods as soon as he gets that fire rod.
Yeah, but of course, the hammer is not, the end-all be-all item, right? We're still missing a good number of things. We know that we absolutely do need Bombos as medallion into Misery Mire. We still are going to need that fire rod in order to defeat Trinex. I mean, there's still a lot of good items out there.
Yeah.
But certainly, yes.
There is. The hammer is huge.
Yes, that is absolutely
that's a pretty big hammer find for Andy here.
You're absolutely correct.
And so now with that hammer in hand and the big key to Thieves Town, no reason not to do this crystal here.
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned actually, like 2 minutes ago or something like that, Thieves Town may not be an attractive play because why would you want to come in here without the hammer and potentially abandoning 1 item? Andy does not have a care in the world in this case.
All right, so I believe, nope. I was going to say Boyne's going to head to get his fire rod.
He's trying so hard.
It looks like he's heading over to Eastern instead. It's weird to me that you do Aga and then don't immediately go get the item that you did Aga for.
that's actually a good point. So maybe Blade is just interested in doing this crystal dungeon immediately because he's already done King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge, right?
Yeah.
So he maybe is just going to just delay the left side of Black World, and then do that. Like, he is really getting bullied.
Yeah, those are guards. They're not letting them by. They're doing their job. Good for them. They deserve a raise.
Maybe we should double or even quadruple their pay, right? So how much do you think it paid? Nothing?
Nothing. Yeah, double it. No, triple it.
Alright, so unfortunately it looks like I can't remember if Andy ended up checking that earlier, but just nothing really exciting. Some cash
nobody's been over here yet, so this is our first.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So this is 100% fine. There's nothing wrong with doing Eastern, getting this crystal. The big question will be, do you do pod, and how much of pod do you do? Andy will have the option of full clearing pod when he gets there if he wants to, though it is a pendant. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions here.
Yeah, and one of the, I would say, benefits for Andy, not to mention that over here, definitely don't want to abandon that item, is that because he is delaying his trip over to the Pod Eastern area, he potentially has more information, right? Because he's already clearing out Thieves Town, and if you need fewer items, that actually could be a potential early exit. I mean, but that Temper Sword, at basically the 43-minute mark is just going to make the rest of the scene very comfy for Andy. Yeah. Of course, Blaine, assuming he does find the hammer, at some point soon, he is going to also be just as comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think either of these runners are in danger of dying to any of the bosses.
Yeah, especially with Red Mail at this point.
Yeah,
right?
At this point. Yeah, even on Green Mail, they're not really in much danger.
Yeah, that's true.
Red Mail, basically free. It's it just comes down to who finds those items first. And right now, Andy with the hammer on a pendant dungeon is that's always the tough one. Is like, when do you pull the trigger on doing pendant dungeons?
Yeah, I mean, we did see that, Andy at least made it look very natural for him to kind of go over to, after claiming his fire rod, to go over to check pedestal and, to Skull Woods. Hopefully that, if you're, especially your team, rooting for Blaine, and for them to basically complete the series, right? You want basically Blaine to do the exact same thing.
So Andy is going to clean up this hammer pegs, and doesn't have powder yet, but trying to eliminate all this stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so Blaine potentially actually has another incentive to come back here after Hammer, assuming he comes here with Hammer, and that he does actually have an additional check for the magic bats, which of course we know that we found the powder in Akiba's cave, which Blaine of course went over to the Desert Palace area earlier, and Andy has not been there yet.
Now, Blaine just checked the vanilla big key chest of Eastern, which had the compass, which means that he's gotten all the other items, and since he is the creator of Ambrosia, should have realized.
Yeah, all right, so we're definitely going to give him a hard time for that. Hopefully his, his mental energy, basically, for processing all the different things he needs to remember about Inverted hasn't necessarily jolted him too much about the actual Ambrosia part of the scene.
Mm-hmm. So Andy not doing Eastern quite yet. He's doing a couple, well, at least checking out the island there before heading over to the Eastern Saha area, and we'll be able to turn in the green pendant as well.
Yeah, I was actually even thinking, he's like, I wonder if he's gonna check Hobo, and you know what? And when you want to check Hobo, you're gonna have to swim there because there is no convenient near portal back over from the light world in this case, or from the dark world.
It's just a heart container from the green pendant, but more importantly, did get that hammer off of Moth. So.
All right, so Blaine basically one Eastern Palace ahead of Andy for the moment, just because for this particular area. Let's see if he decides to go into pod and how much of it he chooses to do. I assume he's going to do as much as he can.
Yeah, I think that since Eastern is empty, the pod play makes sense. I'm still surprised he doesn't have the fire rod, because I'd almost be more tempted just to maybe do ice, but
remembering that he does need to find the Kiki monkey first for entry into pod. Also remembering that iframes are a thing, so Kiki won't immediately lash onto you.
So he'll be able to get everything but the item on Helmasaur, which is fine. This is 5 items in the front. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Alright, but meanwhile, though, Andy is making his way quickly through Eastern Palace. Of course, no hook shot for either runner means that we're going to have to do some extra strains in order to get this key the intended way. Let's see in this case.
Bombos.
That's pretty
big.
important.
Yeah, very big.
Okay, so this is actually going to be another opportunity potentially for Andy to gain some time over Blaine. Because you did mention earlier, right, that Vanilla Big Key Chest was used to compass. So if Andy's counting,
yep,
he could potentially save something like a minute or so over Blaine in Eastern Palace.
All right, so we found the hammer, Clear Mouse. Make a prediction. Where is the hook shot?
Oh, the hook shots. Swamp. That would be awful.
That's mean. I'm gonna say Meyer. I think it's gonna be in Meyer.
Okay, I think that's probably pretty good. Okay, so we did find the Bombos medallion in the shooter room of Pod, which of course is our working medallion. Potentially, well, no. So Blaine doesn't have Fire Rod yet, but I'm not sure if he wants to specifically use the Bombos medallion for Ice Palace entry. Just because I don't know if it's considered to be like in the vicinity or not. Maybe he'll just use the same equip to get that Fire Rod after this.
So Andy did pay attention. Did not do the Vanilla Big Key Chest. That is a time save. So now we're just looking for the hook shot and the ice rod, right? For our no mode.
Yes, I believe you are actually correct. So hook shot certainly, most likely, is going to show up sooner than the ice rod, because the ice rod, of course, not on Trinex, it could be anywhere else at this point.
Yeah. But the hookshot can tend to be in awful places.
Yes, that is very true. Especially if it's in Swamp Palace itself, right?
Yeah.
You really are not going to be there for super early.
Right. And since this is Ambrosia, we do need big keys. So there's still the desert and the Turtle Rock big, as chat points out. We still need to find those as well.
Yeah, and of course, you're kind of hoping that the big key, okay, so I think logically, right, we still need to find the big key to Ice Palace. It could still contain an item that we care about, but these runners obviously are not going to
you know, you could, if you find everything else, you're not worried about the Ice Palace big key, right? Because you can beat it without.
Alright, Andy, remembering that he doesn't want to take any extra mirror transitions from that portal, so he just ends up picking up a bomb, then just going right in.
A rare missed hammering up from Blaine there.
I think it's probably the red mail that's weighing him down. Maybe it's the fire shield. He's just not used to that. Basically seeing those.
Yeah, let's blame the fire shield. I'm with that.
Alright, Andy's gonna pick up his requisite medallion.
There's the ice rod.
Wow. I'm gonna take all of that back because, the ice rod here is in Pendant Pod, so a second pendant dungeon that we're going to need in order to complete the scene. So we're just looking for that hook shot.
Hook shot and a couple of big keys. Yeah. Which place is it going to be? Watch it just be right here.
It is the map. So actually, Fear. So Andy has the hammer, right? And because of Ambrosia, we know that there's going to be a guaranteed non-dungeon item on the bot. Do you think Andy will defeat Helmasaur in this situation?
I don't think so. He hasn't been to desert. You've got ice and mire. I think there's just too much to do. I don't know. That's a tough call. It's such a trek to get to the back. You got a cutscene, and I don't know. That's a.
Yeah, you got to do the basement.
I'm just glad I'm not making that call. Like, I don't want to make that decision.
Yeah, actually, so I believe actually in Dark Maze, Blaine ended up finding the map and the compass in succession. I think this might be another one of those situations where maybe Blaine has actually not counted all the items.
Yeah.
Or maybe just forgot that the one, item's on lost.
Yeah. And here's something. He's going to miss out on his tempered sword.
Mm. Oh, he's in the Dark World too, right? He didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, when is he gonna get his fire rod? Because like the natural like chain that we saw Andy do earlier, right? Was he after Agnum, he ran out of Castle Tower, went north, did King's Tomb, picked up his bow, went to Bob Crocs, picked up his nothing, and then picked up his fire rod from Lumberjack, and then went immediately over to Skull Woods, defeated Mothula with the green pendant, which had her hammer. Blaine, on the other hand, decided to go right to Eastern after Castle Tower.
No, he went to Bombo's tablet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. He went to Bombo's tablet and Desert Palace area. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, he still hasn't been over to Skull Woods and claimed his fire rod, so hopefully, for Blaine's sake, he is going to do this on the sooner side. And then, of course, the fact that he's already here at Thieves Town, though, basically, I'm not sure if... I mean, there's another sword out there for Blaine, of course, but we don't know where it is.
I mean, it could be Pendant Terra, for all we know, right? Like, maybe you don't go... there's any reason to go to Terra, and it's just sitting there, so... A bit unfortunate for Blaine and Air 216 here.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between Tempered Sword and Master Sword is pretty significant. I mean, if nothing else, right, it'll save you a boatload of time on Ganon. Pays 1, 2, and 4, I guess, if you don't find silvers.
Alright, so Andy gets his Ice Rod, his Bombos, and he's out. Looks like he is going to... Where is he going? Is he gonna go check the front of Turtle Rock?
We do have all the medallions, yeah. And that is we can actually get in now with the hammer and the mirror. And we know that 2 items are fire rod locked, so actually, I think just maybe 1 item. I think we're missing the compass, I want to say.
Yeah, I think you're right. I kept thinking that the Turtle Rock big key was in Turtle Rock, but this is Ambrosia, and so the big keys are shuffled. So
yeah, do you think Andy's done Spiral Cave yet? Maybe
he did. He did all the non. Okay. Looks like he's doing the tablet and Ether.
Okay, and maybe he'll take it
the Ether, tablet, and Hera, which is surprising because 1, he doesn't have the big key. Oh, there's a big key up here. This makes sense. It's the Ice Palace Cave.
All right,
that works out. That works.
That's right. We haven't been over to Ice Palace yet, so we're definitely not gonna have the abandoned item there in the big key chest, or the big chest.
Yeah, so check the front of Hera, maybe the first 2 checks here, and then maybe the front of Turtle Rock, and then Ice Palace. I think that could be a possibility.
Yeah, so of course with no hook shot, if Andy decides to keep going up top, right, he actually we might just get stopped early because we don't have the key.
Yeah. So it looks like, I think at this point, Wayne is going to get his fire rod. Now, I just want to see a good race, so let's hope that he has the Skull Woods after this. But no, he's not. Where is he going?
Maybe this is his powder check? This is his Sick Kid check?
Sick Kid check. Okay.
He doesn't have hammer yet from Mothula. So he's probably not going to try and mirror and do hammer pegs. Looks like though he is going to head back into Lost Woods. I mean, so this could be his like pedestal check. I guess into Lost Woods and then over.
But he still needs the fire rod.
Yeah, I guess I don't know why he would want to. You would try to get your fire rod first, right? Before heading over.
You would think, yeah, because if you're going to go this way, this would allow you to just mirror right in front of Skull Woods.
But maybe, I mean, this also could be an indication that he does not want to do the back of Skull Woods, which, of course, we know that for Team Area 216 and Blaine's sake, he absolutely does need to, so hopefully that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
Alright, Blaine, making sure that the pedestal, in fact, is not useful today. Meanwhile, Andy, though, swimming over to Ice Palace, we can actually see that we do not need anything besides the flippers, in this case, to go in. We are heading dive straight in with that fire rod and half magic.
Alright, Clear Mouse, I want you to tell me if Ice Rod Cave is hookshot locked.
Ice Rock Cave?
I mean, Ice Palace.
I'm not sure. You know what? We're gonna find out here.
Yeah. A cave that you don't need the hookshot for. Is that hookshot locked?
Yeah.
Ice Palace. Is Ice Palace hookshot locked?
Actually, did our runners must have gone up to Ice Rock Cave, right?
Yeah, they did for sure.
Yeah, they must have done it early for the water checks. Andy, trying to open this chest. It is a map, so nothing looking good so far. Wayne is saving and quitting, so he is not going back to Skullwoods quite yet. What does Wayne want to do in this case? Maybe finish up the rest of the slipper checks?
Yeah, maybe Hobo and Zora.
And maybe eventually after Zora we dive into Ice Palace. You know, overworld travel here is not cheap, right? We don't have we don't have the flute for anything in Dark World. For not that it's super useful to begin with, but again, Light World, your save and quit points are all in the Dark World. You have to go find a portal, or in this case, the top of the castle, in order to get back in the Light World, and then you are running.
Okay, so we had one small key on the right side. We have one more check here. One small key on the right side. Is Ice Palace hookshot locked? Did I lose you?
I guess Andy's gonna find. So at least we don't have hookshot so far. So Andy has no real choice in order to check the big chest, the intended way, not actually a block of basic hooking through the blocks.
So clear mouse is Ice Palace hookshot.
I guess still remains to be seen here. The big key is shuffled. I'm not sure if that makes a difference. That's the thing. Like, so the big key is out there somewhere. Like, are you required to space there? Like the fact that you're coming in here, assuming you have the big key. Like, is that going to make a difference?
Well, since you have the big key, it does change things. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just talking about logically. There's the big key to Hera.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that is not what we're gonna want to see. Alright, meanwhile though, looks like Blaine is gonna go into Mire with his requisite Bobos medallion. Of course, as he's just demonstrated, we don't actually need the flute or anything like that to get over here. We just ran right over from the Light World. He has the cane. He's got boots. He's got the Mire big key, so we should be able to take care of this. So there are still going to be 2 items here in the front. Hopefully, if he's found 2 items pre-cutscene or pre-vanilla big key, he will remember for his sake that he does not have to go do it because the last item is going to be Vitreous. Otherwise, it is actually going to be a pretty good time sink.
Pretty good cold stare fight from Andy there. So nothing of real value except for they have a big key, which is probably where the hookshot is, right?
Yeah. I mean, if he finds hookshot here, I mean, I guess is that no. Blaine still needs hammer. Hammer Goma would be pretty interesting, boy, but the hammer location though is pretty awful. Blaine though, demonstrating that he doesn't need to run over bridges or ledges. He could just kind of glide right over.
Yeah, hookshot could be in a lot of bad spots, but we still have 2 big keys out in the wild that we need as well. So those could be just as awful. There's still a lot of room to be made up, and for Wayne, it's good that he hasn't really. He hasn't done Ice Palace, right? He hasn't done anything that has required the hammer.
Yeah, no, that's certainly true. And of course, for those of you who played, more spicier modes, right? Like, not like what are keys, your entrance, right? How often have you had something like a Desert Palace big key for go mode, right?
Yeah.
And you're just searching the entire world for something like that.
We're gonna finally figure out what Zora has here. Possibly. Never mind.
I guess Andy is interested in. Maybe he's gonna try and do Ice Rock Cave, and then or instead of a water walk. Maybe?
He already did Ice Rock Cave.
Right,
that's where the blue pill was. Right, yeah. So he's gonna realize that here in just a second. As he bombs open up. Oh man.
Yeah, I think he probably just wants a water walk. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so Blaine though actually he did a very, very nice job basically taking care of Vitreous on Master Sword. Cave certainly does help, of course. Because being down a sword, especially being compared to Temper, you're not gonna be able to have a very textbook fight, but Blaine took care of business very nicely. Andy also remembering that if you are trying to water walk with flippers, and you hit shallow water, that is you are going to lose it in this case.
Yep. What do you think? Anything on Zora today?
Oh man, if this is hookshot, Blaine might be in some trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, also, hookshot I think has to be here for Boyne. Unfortunately, I think that also might be bad for Boyne. Because it just opens up a couple more things.
Yeah, you're right, because hookshot of course is gonna make Swamp Palace, for example, a lot more lucrative, and Andy knows that he can.
Yeah, he needs the hammer though for it to be.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He won't check the first chest of Swamp. Well, actually.
Andy did that, but he was checking Dam at the same time, so he kind of comboed together a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So you think hookshot is in Swamp Palace? I think it's here in Mire, and we're both going to be wrong.
Well, Boyne's still searching, right? We did find one item on Vitreous, which was not useful, so we're still on the hunt for 2 more in this case.
Nothing from Zora.
Right, yeah, so that was actually quite the suspense. 500 rupees, not even well spent because we just left the prize right on the water.
So where does Andy go now? He might be doing Desert Mire. This might be where he's heading here. It looks like it.
Yeah, it does look like it. Again, this is just one of those things for when you don't have a flute and your options for light world access are basically limited, right?
Yeah.
You are really happy that you found the boots sooner rather than later. Imagine not having the boots, right? And you're just walking everywhere in this case. It's just such an awful feeling.
Hookshot.
You called it. You have found the hookshot in this case in Mire as our very last item, and of course.
All right. So now we're just looking for keys, and if you're Andy after doing Mire, there's a location with quite a few items, and that's Swamp Palace.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see him do Mire, probably check the front of the desert, and then head into Swamp Palace. It looks like Wayne is heading to Skull Woods, so this is going to be good. Is he? No. Is he? Yes. No. Is he?
Looks like he is.
Okay, he is. This is good.
Yeah, looks like his muscle memory was taking over, probably trying to, go into the portal, right, of Light World, right, going to Dark World and then heading into Skull Woods, but he remembered that, but this is inverted, we're heading just straight to the back.
This is good. As long as he goes to the back, which I believe he will since this is just a map, gets his hammer, I mean, from there he's going to head to Ice Palace. Ice Palace is pretty quick. He is down a sword, but he's up a Mire clear, so
yeah, and
yeah, we've got it. We've got a match for sure.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. So for those of you who may not have caught this earlier, Andy ended up picking up the hammer pretty early here on Pendant Mothula with the hammer, then immediately made his way over to Thieves Town, and of course that one chest that Blaine ended up leaving behind, which was the big chest, which was our Tempered Sword. So for the foreseeable future, Blaine is going to be down a sword versus Andy. The good news for Blaine is that there is another sword out there somewhere, right? And so far, this lack of sword hasn't really hurt Blaine all that much. We are probably going to see some amount of difference, though. Later.
Yeah. Again, if you're rooting for Error 216, you're going to want to find that other sword sometime before the end of the seed, for sure.
Yes. I mean...
But Getting this hammer is going to be huge. It's going to keep him right in the race. And as long as he heads, starts clearing out dungeons, I don't think there's a lot of overworld left. Like, hopefully he doesn't head up to Dark Death Mountain again, to clear up some of those checks.
Yeah.
Though he might, because we saw Andy do the big chest, or get the big key up there, so. Which is the ice key.
Yeah, it turns out it was just a small key inside the big chest, so not necessary, but, that also could be something else that might sway Boyne over there. Alright, of course, Boyne picking up his hammer. I'm not sure how great or not great he feels about it. It is kind of a late-ish hammer for him.
Yeah, I don't think you're feeling great about that, especially because he put off getting that fire rod for so long.
Mm-hmm.
He did Aga and then just did not get the fire rod for some reason, which we saw, Andy get right away, which incentivized to clear out Skullwoods since he was over there anyways. So yeah, he's probably not feeling great about that, but he's still in it.
Yeah, and of course, the good news for Boyne is that, as you said earlier, Fear, right? He's not like he did any real dungeons that, had to basically force him to come back, right?
Yeah.
He did do Pod, but of course, the only real thing that was hammerlock is the boss itself, right? And of course, we saw Andy not do that, and Boyne,
right,
chances are not going to go back there either. No, he went into Ice Palace, right, without the hammer.
Yeah.
It looks like though Andy is actually going to try and get some more items before Vitreous. We're gonna see if he ends up delaying, of course, the big key chest. Looks like he is. So this is gonna be good news, of course, for Andy. He's gonna find his hook shot here in the arena right now, basically, and then he's gonna head back straight over to Vitreous.
Yeah, this actually could be big if Boyne checks the front of Turtle Rock. There's those two items that Andy didn't see, and one of the big keys is there. That could swing this race a bit closer on Boyne's side, but we'll see what he does up here.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
he might finish off Hera.
That looks like that's where he's going now. Of course, we know that the big key is not going to be anywhere to be found up here, so Boyne is going to get locked out pretty early.
It makes sense coming up here to get this big key though, because this might have been one of the big keys. Because he's two big keys away from go mode. It makes sense to rush that and to check to see what it is.
Yeah, of course, it's like the tempting unknown big key, right? It's like, oh man, I need to know what it is, but of course it's being something that it's like, oh, it could be useful, but it's not something that you're looking for. Alright, Andy looks like he is actually going to try and set up an alternate version of Spooky. Thank you, Half Magic and Fire Rod. Looks like he is successful.
Yeah.
Of course, another difference here, Andy having Tempered Sword versus Boyne's Master Sword. Andy, again, top tier execution, NMG runner, textbook Vitreous fight probably coming up here. Ooh, Boyne! I forgot that he had actually gone over to Meyer and picked up the hookshot first.
Yeah.
He can climb up here to Hera without
There's a big key to desert. All right.
Oh man! All right. Oh, so this is actually a very big swing for Team Scene here because Andy. I mean, just think about how painful these mountain climbs are, right? And Andy's basically done a lot of stuff around the area already. He doesn't probably want to come back here before let's say Swamp Palace.
He got the big key, but that doesn't incentivize you to head up to Hera. Man, pendant's paying out big in this seed.
Mm-hmm. Every single pendant dungeon has something required. Mothula had her hammer. Pod, of course, Dark Maze Rupee. Basement Rupee had her ice rod, and we should just see. Pendant Hera having our big key to desert, and of course Boyne checking the pedestal. He knows that it is not useful. He is saving quitting even before that pendant drop.
What's funny is everyone always, chat's always looking for ped, but these seeds are actually
that's true.
knowing that you have to do the pedestal isn't a terrible thing, right? Like you have to get those pendants. It's when you don't have to do those pendants that make it worse, right? Like, when is Andy going to now go back up to Hera? Because it's such a long way to get up there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the best thing for him would be Turtle Rock big here, but I don't know.
I mean, you still have to come back and go, and you have to make one more trip, right? Because like the Desert Palace big is up there, so you have to go back down to do desert, and you have to go back up, right? And
I mean, Boyne is still gonna have to go back up if Turtle Rock is here. If he gets the Turtle Rock big here in Swamp.
Oh yeah, no, this is a good point, right? Because Ganon's tower, right, is actually at Hyrule Castle.
Yeah,
so
and
we
they
don't
killed
have to
Aga
wait,
too,
yeah.
so they have a save and quit right to Ganon's tower.
Mhm.
But if Turtle Rock Big is here, that puts Boyne in go mode. So, but he's down a sword. I really hope we see Turtle Rock Big just like right here in the front of Swamp Palace.
Yeah, I mean,
Because then we have a really close race.
And you know, especially if you're ready for Blaine, right, you want that temper sword of the fourth sword to show up before Turtle Rock Big Key, right? Hopefully not left side of this case, but you know, another sword at least for Blaine will definitely make things a bit much faster in terms of execution.
So Blaine is a little bit behind. He has an Ice Palace, but if he gets the Turtle Rock Big first, then he can just go mode Ice Palace and doesn't have to waste any time in there.
Yeah, I'm also wondering
if maybe... it all just depends on where this Turtle Rock Big is.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if, you know, Blaine potentially, it might just be like a locality type of thing, but, you know, if Blaine maybe is hoping to go mode Ice Palace, you know, just basically finding what he needs here in Swamp Palace, you know, this is a more item-dense dungeon. So if he can just find it here, then he can basically save some time over Andy, who had to basically go through the entire dungeon to find stuff, which was nothing. I mean, it didn't pay out.
So Andy deciding to go left side immediately, still needing those 2 big keys. We'll see if Boyne follows suit since he has only 1 item from go mode now. And he's going straight to the back. He's skipping left side.
Alright, so this also...
Gosh, can this race swing anymore?
Oh, dude, that Stalfos just knocked Andy right out of his diver down setup. The sword didn't help. Meanwhile, alternate diver down in the back for Blaine, getting it pretty nicely. He found silvers. That's gonna be pretty nice.
Yeah.
So I mean, okay, finding silvers of course is gonna be really good for Blaine, especially because he is still a master sword. Of course, Andy, you know, being in the flooded chest is a very high chance that Andy's gonna be able to get them as well.
Oh yeah, he's definitely gonna open that. There's no way he doesn't.
Alright, moment of truth. We're finally made his way over to the left side of the swamp and actually our 2 checks. And what do we have here?
20 roops, not anything. 300 roops, not anything.
Well,
okay.
Andy is much richer, I guess, but that is definitely not the Turtle Rock Big Key. This is no form of retro shop sanity, whatever. All the money in the world here is not going to help out Andy.
So what haven't we seen that has items?
We haven't seen Bat.
We haven't seen Bat. We haven't seen Spike Cave.
We have not seen the boss of Desert Palace, right?
There's the boss of Desert. There's Helma and Pod. We have the front 2 of Turtle Rock. We have the basement of Hera.
Did we get a small key in Hera? I want to say that we did.
Yeah, it was the first chest. It was a small key.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I think Blaine probably heads over to Desert from here.
No. So I think we have everything out of Hera, because we found bombs on the first floor. We found Desert Palace Big Key in the compass, and then we found the third item on the boss.
Okay.
So yeah, so Hera should be clear. Alright, Blaine though, looks like he is skipping on the left side, so this is going to be a really good time save for Blaine because he does not need those 300 rupees and to go with his 1,064.
Yeah, 320. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to go straight over to defeat Landless, of course. You
so,
know,
the worst location for the Turtle Rock Big Key would be Landmolus. That'd be the worst for Andy.
Yeah. And of course, so we did see that Andy and Blaine earlier picking up also the flute off of Argus. again, you have to go activate in the light world, and at this point,
Yeah, it's not worth it.
I'm not even. Yeah, I was even thinking that too. Like, I'm not even sure in this case if there is even going to be worth their time, because again, you can't even use it in the light world. You have to use it in the dark world, and both runners kind of already been over to like Mire and Ice, right?
I'm also pretty sure that Bwayne has forgotten that it's Ambrosia.
Yeah, I believe you are correct.
So here's something we haven't counted for. We've got the big bomb.
Oh, yeah. All right, so Andy is going to... That's actually a good point. So we ended up defeating our 5-6 crystals, which, of course, was Eastern Palace and Swan Palace. Andy actually remembering that the big bomb, of course, is in the light world. And so we're going to head right over. Ganon is defeated, so we're going to have a free portal back. Andy very rightfully remembering that post-Aga Light World is terrible, so maybe he ends up studying the red guards before he dashes way over. Really nice execution, actually, just made to keep his hook speed.
Yeah. Alright, Big Bomb gives us a heart piece and the big key to Turtle Rock. Oh boy. Okay. So now Andy heads to Turtle Rock. He will get spit out, do the front. There's 2 checks that he has there. And I think at that point he has to do Hera because he's never going to be closer. And that will put him into go mode. If Bwayne does the big bomb before Ice Palace, he still has a good chance, but he's probably going to do Ice next. So it's going to be a minute before he gets that Hera big, I think.
Yeah, so this is actually quite the tight race, as you said. So we really need Bwayne to do Pyramid Fairy like now, basically.
Yeah, he's got to go do it now.
First, he needs to. So Andy also demonstrated this too. Is that mirroring from dark world to light world to dark world? It's very difficult.
Yeah.
So it looks like Bwayne actually. Well, he must start in the dark world. What does this mean? Is he gonna run over to Ice Palace in this case?
Yeah, I think this is heading over to Ice Palace. Maybe not. Maybe this is the big bomb.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a typical portal over to the light world. Bwayne does remember that he was spit out of Link's house, which is the bomb shop, so he needs to go over to the to the light world and get the big bomb.
Man.
Oh, wow! So this is a race. Bwayne's gonna be able to do big bomb, get his. No, this is not. Oh my gosh, Bwayne! No.
Oh
this
man.
This is so close, man. What a.
Oh, you had us going there for a second.
Oh my god. Oh, I don't know if Bwayne remembers that he doesn't actually need this light world portal to get into Ice Palace because it's inverted. You can just swim right up from the dark world. Oh man. This is just one of those things for inverted. I think maybe Bwayne is like taking a double take at that rock. It's like, oh yeah, there was a portal here that gets me to the light world. Oh, poor guy.
All right, so Andy's got a pretty firm lead here. As long as he does Hera, he doesn't actually have a lot of options left. He's been pretty thorough. There's no reason to go to Desert because he's already been there. Hera's probably his most dense location, and he's got the big key. So you're not leaving the mountain, or
yes, oh my gosh, dude. Wow. So Bwayne is right back in this game because Andy just saved me quit out of the mountain. So Bwayne actually just bought himself a little bit more time thanks to Andy's generosity. Where is Andy headed to? Somewhere here and not the mountain for Tower of Hera, which we know where our Desert Palace big key is.
I don't know where he's going. I don't know. Is this the powder check?
This could be powder. Yeah. He is trying to enter in the light world here, so we are going to try and get a Kakariko village. He did end up picking up the powder from Magina, so this is something that is kind of a one-off for him at this point.
It's weird because it's just one item when he's got 3 or I guess 2 items left in Hera. Oh, he's activating his flute. Okay.
Well, so maybe this is just a
if you're here, right?
Yeah,
I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so, and, you know, the flute does give you some pretty fast travel in the dark world. I mean, if you're here, you're going to activate it, you know, it's not going to hurt you, right? So meanwhile, though, Boyne unfortunately still can't go mode this because he needs the Turtle Rock Key from Pyramid Fairy, which we saw Andy pick up and of course take that immediately up the mountain to go to Turtle Rock. Yeah, looks like.
Yeah. So who's gonna get their big key first? I
Oh
think.
man, this is
I
gonna
don't know.
be quite the track.
I don't. If Andy goes pod next,
Oh, that's
I'll
right,
be
yeah.
I'll be speechless.
That is another item that's guaranteed on Helmasaur that he did have access to with the hammer or the Earl of Hammer, but he's opted to not do it. All right. Though meanwhile,
there's nothing else over here, right? They've done everything over here.
Yeah.
So this is this. He's gonna mirror. He's gonna flute, and I think he heads up to the mountain now, right? I think that was just insurance. Because it's a possibility that
that did not look like the mountain for flute spot 1. This looks like a flute spot 6. So I guess we're doing desert.
Has he not been into? I swore he went into desert. Did he not go into desert?
He did Checkerboard Cave and he did Agina. Maybe you're right. He didn't end up doing Desert Palace itself.
Okay, so if he didn't do desert, this makes sense, I guess.
I'm hoping that the big key is just here, right?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, obviously I have perfect information, so I'm gonna make the correct choice.
Yeah.
But going back, I mean, like Hera's right there, and it's terrible to get to it inverted. Feels like, just do it while you're there.
It was going to be pretty fast, especially just running back over there with the boots. But I mean, if this is going to be a terrible first bunch of the big keys here, I mean, looks like the Blaine is having a cool stare party, but this is kind of one of the consequences of having Master Sword versus Andy who had Temper.
Yeah.
But he's got Fire Rod and Half Magic. Obviously, not super worried about dying.
All right, so Boyne is obviously isolated a couple of things. He isolated the Thieves Town Big. He's never going back there. He isolated Left Side Swamp. He's never going back there. He didn't have the option of doing Helma. Maybe he goes back there.
So
Pyramid Fairy is his best option, I think, here.
Yeah.
He might do Zora.
All right, that is another one off. Boyne is running back, so this could be our big bomb. What else is over here, right?
Yeah, so I think we're gonna get a simultaneous go mode.
Oh, dude, this is gonna be tight.
Yeah, so Boyne is getting his bomb. This will get him as the Turtle Rock Big. So he just has to go up to Laser Bridge.
Andy's doing Swing first.
Oh no.
Well, this will be more information. If Andy finds, let's say, the 4th sword here, Boyne is definitely not going to find it. And right now, as you can see, right, the sword difference was because Andy dipped Thieves Town with the hammer, which had our Temper Sword in the big chest, which Boyne did not end up getting because he had a late hammer going in. So there is actually still a bit of a time difference between Boyne and Andy just in terms of execution with that Master Sword versus Temper Sword.
But Andy has to go all the way up to the mountain, all the way up to Hera, then all the way back to desert. That takes a long time.
You are right. Yes, this is probably one of the reasons why, as you said earlier, Fear, that maybe it would have been better time-wise, right, for Andy to just sink the investment into doing Hera. Because look at what Andy's doing, right? He had to go and enter the mountain on the left side, run all the way to the right side, take the portal, go back all the way to the left side to go to Hera.
All right, so Boyne at 125.59 is our first runner in go mode. So he just has to go up to the mountain, go into the same portal that Andy just went in, jump down to the laser bridge, mirror, and kill Trinex. Boom, done. You can then save and quit and be on top of the...
He wants to be on the light world in that case?
Yeah, he'll have to go back in to the light world, but then save and quit and he'll be fine. Andy is about to get his big key. It's going to be the first or the second check that he does. But he then has to go all the way to desert. And there's no quick way into desert. I mean, he has to go through the front of desert. Now he does have, and then he's got to go all the way through the back of desert. So it's not fast.
So Andy did pick up the flute. He did activate the flute, right? So
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess it'd be another mirror transition in this case. But he does have at least a spot over to 6, so he's not so it's a little bit of time saved. But All right,
There we
so
go.
yeah, all right, that is go mode for Andy.
So-
Let's see how fast he can make his way over there. Blaine, very nicely remembering that we can backdoor Trinex in this case, is hopping on the correct ledge. In this case, to go straight to the back.
So Blaine does need a sword.
He would very much like one. And of course, you know, this is very much still within the realm of different GT basement searches, because, you know, we do see that Big Key Shuffle is a thing, but GT Big Key is always somewhere in GT. So we are still going to have to supply that Big Key somewhere. Boyne, of course, has his patented Boyne route going left side to South Ocean first, and see if he ends up taking that in this particular race. Andy could actually make a swing here as well.
Yeah, I just saw someone say that DP is a quick clear. This is not a quick clear. He's got to go all the way through the front. Then he's got to go all the way through the back. There's a cutscene he has to do, and then get back, and then he's finished. It's not. That's not a fast. This is one of the slowest dungeons.
Yeah, unlike, I guess, like non-inverted riders or more
Right.
standard
Yeah.
riders.
This is not fast. This is gonna. You know.
You can't.
We'll see the
backdoor
difference.
faster.
Yeah, we'll see the difference when Boyne enters GT, and we'll see if Boyne is able to find a sword. So here we go. There's 22 locations where the Big Key's going to be. We're going to go by Boyne as he's going to get in there first. Go get your guesses in. There's also a channel points wager you can do there as well. Clear Mouse, where's the GT Big Key?
Where is the GT Big Key?
Is early or later better
I mean,
for Boyne?
These guys are so good in execution. I mean, I guess I want to say that earlier is going to be better. I mean, basically, you just want Boyne to just keep his lead, right? If you're rooting for Team Air 260 and Boyne to finish this out. If you're rooting for Andy, I think you want this to be later. Or, you know, you want this to be... If Andy goes left side first, or sorry, right side first, you want it to be in, like, Hope Room. You want it to be there. Or you want it to be past Stauffel's room, in this case.
Okay, there's the crystals for Boyne. Andy not very far behind. Just finished off ammo. 129.17 is what we'll say Boyne enters in.
Okay, alright. And remember, Boyne is also down a sword, right? His lead has to be a little bit more comfortable for him, especially if he doesn't find one, and we're going to face it off Ganon, because Andy's going to basically defeat Ganon much faster than Boyne.
This is too stressful.
Yeah, no, this is. Oh, jeez. So
I'm glad I'm not one of these teams.
Alright. Alright, so Boyne's, of course, heading left first on Master Sword. What does he have?
Single arrow. 3 bombs. Small key. Small key. Gonna head right.
Keys.
129.53. So what was it? What's the difference? That's less than a minute?
Yeah, but I mean, like, we're neck and neck right here, right? Boyne and...
Oh my gosh,
there is the Big Key in Hope Room! Wait, get out! What is he? Oh, he's looking for a sword. Oh, dude, this is gonna be another potential difference here. So Andy right now, he needs to grab another small key from the left side of the pot, right? And then he's going straight up. Boyne has a very small amount of lead going up the gauntlet. Execution is certainly gonna matter a whole heck of a lot, but Boyne is down a sword. I mean, if he doesn't find one by Ganon, they're this close. Andy's gonna have definitely a time advantage over Boyne.
They both have silvers, but that tempered sword is going to make a difference on Ganon.
Yeah. Phase 1 and 2, Andy is certainly very well practiced with tempered sword getting,
oh man, this is bananas. This is what you want when you get a race like this, right? When you have 2 titans of the game climbing the gauntlet, Boyne with just a tiny lead, just a room lead, but down a sword. Oh my gosh, this is too stressful.
Execution is definitely going to matter. So Andy, of course, is going to be very well practiced, right? Most, if not all, enemies end up dying in one shot with the temper sword Boyne, though. I mean, he does have silvers, but that master sword, just like we're seeing now, it does not kill Ping's Isaacs in one slash, where Andy's going to be able to do that. I mean, there's going to be little differences, right, that are going to just slowly either give Andy or Boyne some time advantage.
Yeah, but if you're watching Boyne, he's taking advantage of...
He is zooming through this gauntlet. He's actually having a pretty good watch for that. So you see...
Oh, the Red Isaacs give him a little bit of trouble.
But luckily he got damage boosted by the Beamos. Andy, that...
Nicely done in the last room. That's Isaac getting away from Andy onto the last room of the gauntlet. Land mode 2 for Boyne. Needs the 0 cycle. Gets it with the arrows. Andy into land mode 2.
Yeah, setting
There's
up for his
one.
quick kill.
There's 2. There's 3. All right.
we're 1 to 2 screens basically behind, difference here. Health is not super comfortable. They do have 5 and 4 hearts each. They are on red mail, but they do have safeties. But
yeah,
again,
they're
you still need time to use those safeties.
They're not going to use safeties.
I mean, I assume in this case they build the powder, right? They are going to be able to powder that anti-fairy before Moldorm 2.
Yeah, Blaine might take some time to check these chests too for a sword.
Yeah, so maybe another difference is we've seen how comfortable Andy is with hovering throughout the season. So similar to Boyne, but you know, if Boyne decides to end up waiting for the chest to spawn versus Andy just, you know, hops right over, could also be another time difference.
All right, bombs and a compass. Here we go.
These are checks that Andy is definitely not going to make. Just because he has that key.
Pre-Moldorm 2 chest. What do you got? Is it a sword? No, it's a key.
We have one more shot for Blaine. He is definitely going to try and kill Moldorm because he wants to see what that last chest is. This is his last opportunity to get bailed out.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit slower too because he's got Master Swords. He's got to do 3 spins.
Andy
going for the hover.
Yep. Alright, so he is overtaking the lead for Blaine in this case. You really want this to be a sword for Blaine.
10 arrows.
It is not a sword.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Alright, Andy with actually a pretty good offense advantage. Not only he has a very minor time lead over Blaine, he does have Temper Sword going into Aghanim 2 and Ganon. Same patterns, of course. You know, we are
a little bit better there.
Oh these patterns are pretty awful.
All right, Aghanim 2 down for Andy, 134-12. Here goes 134-20 for Blaine. This is insane. Insane.
Yeah. So even though Andy does have the offensive advantage with that Temper Sword, you know, probably very familiar with that 1-1. Bad things have happened on Ganon for many a runner before, and you are not impervious to mishaps with only Temper Sword. This is
right.
So
no one's
so
ever,
nuts.
Yeah, no one's ever lost a race on Ganon before. Yeah. So there's that, right? We just
yes.
This has never happened, even to like incredible runners.
Andy starting his fight. Looks like he's in good shape to get that 1-1.
He's gonna have the 1-1. You know, this is just gonna. Blaine's gonna, I imagine, show us how it's done on Master Sword, but it's just slow. Nice spot for Blaine there, but Andy already on to phase 3.
Of course, warps. The number of warps is also going to be the same, especially when neither runner has died to Ganon yet, and Andy is just patiently waiting this out in order to get to phase 4.
Alright, Blaine should be able to finish up phase 2 here. But as he finishes up phase 2, Andy's going to be on phase 4, and with those silver arrows, just needs to get 4 arrows in. There's one. Tries to set up triple there, but looks like he'll be able to get a double.
Yeah,
and just needs one more. Yep. There it is. Get your GGs in chat. Get ready for game number 5 as Andy and PugTrio force a game 5 with error 216. Eric gets ready to cross this bridge, and we'll get you an official time here. 136.06 for Andy.
GG's. I see lots of GG's in chat. Get your GG's in chat for Andy for this amazing performance.
Yeah, that was
what a race, man.
Ooh, I mean, nicely done by Blaine with the triple to end
triple. Yeah, especially on Master Sword Silvers. That is not easy.
Yeah. This was great. And make sure you get your GG's in chat for Blaine too. That was an awesome race. For it to be as close as it was down a sword the entire time is pretty nuts. The official time for Blaine is 136.42.
looks like we are joined here with
By both
Andy
our
and
runners.
Blaine. Yeah, GG's guys, what a race!
Hey, GG, Andy.
Hey, GG's.
Yeah, I honestly I don't even know where to start with that one. That was a pretty insane race. So inverted, one of the best things about inverted is how crazy the moon pearl could be, and yet you guys have mitts moon pearl 6 minutes. Just tell me your thoughts about the start of the seed.
Thank God. The less I have to figure out about inverted, the better I'm gonna be. So, thank God.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. It's Pearl and Mirror really early give you a ton of options early.
Yeah,
which was really interesting. I felt a little bad doing Death Mountain pre mini Moldorm Cave. As the boots were in there. But it led to a lot of really, really interesting decisions, I suppose.
Yeah, so a couple of big ones, and I guess I'll just ask you about both of them. Andy, you did once you found those boots, you rushed Aga and went and got your fire rod. Blaine, you hadn't done the mountain yet, so you cleared out the mountain, then did Aga, and then just decided not to get the fire rod. What kind of played into that decision?
There wasn't really much for me to do with the fire rod. So I was seeing what else kind of laid out. When I was gonna go back to Thieves, I was probably gonna go like a finish up Thieves and grab the fire rod or something. But I wasn't gonna rush to do Skull Woods, although that would have been nice if I had. And I couldn't do anything really more that I wanted to do. I mean, I could go back to T-Rock with the fire rod and get those 2 chests or whatever, but with no big key for T-Rock, there wasn't much for me to do with it. This was literally the first Invrosia seed I ever played, and it's the first inverted since I lost in the playoffs of Season 2 of the league.
Okay, all right.
By the way, I am now winless in league playoffs still, 0-4. Wow. So really, really an asset to the team when playoffs roll around.
Right, Futon got his first playoff dub this season.
See, even Futon's winning before me. Come on.
and also, Wayne, you are familiar with like the Ambrosia settings, right?
Yes.
And this being Invrosia, you're still familiar with those settings, right?
Somewhat. I mean, it took me like 3 minutes to remember I had a sword.
There's that, and also you know that there's the items have a non-dungeon item. The bosses have the non-dungeon item.
Now that you mention it, rings a bell. Yeah.
Okay. Because there's a couple checks you did that. Yeah.
I was concentrating so hard on not messing anything up with the inverted stuff. Like I'm so bad. First of all, like it's so funny. It could not be 2 more polar opposites, me and Andy, in terms of like how exotic modes, like our experience with exotic modes. So I'm for stuff that Andy plays, like this is fairly tame. Just like inverted Ambrosia kind of weirdness. Big keys shuffled out in the world. I don't step out of the regular vanilla open 7-7 world of rando. So when I do, I play really badly and need to concentrate so hard to not embarrass myself. So
we did see a couple of attempted mirrors in the dark world.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. The mirror bonks. I don't know where the hell to mirror in the light world. Who mirrors in the light world?
You did get some early jitters potentially out of the way because you tried to check race game, right? Very early.
I was hoping that was so long ago nobody would remember that I was.
I figured that was a good reminder for you for the rest of the seed.
I got the mirror early. I was like, this is the worst. The mirror early is the one thing I didn't want to see because I don't know how to use it in this mode. And the first time I tried to use it was in the dark world. So way to go, me.
All right, so Andy, you did rush Aga Tower and then get that fire rod. Did that play into your route into Skullwoods then?
Yeah, that was so because I like generally, I guess my thought process was I'm going to check King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks, get the fire rod, probably check Pedestal, because hair is just a hammer away. I had just gotten the bow, so pod was also a hammer away. I was like, I'll check pedestal, and I might as well just mirror. There's one thing left in Skullwoods, and then the boss. And with the bow especially, my next play was going to be Eastern, so might as well just go over there with the green pendant.
Yep.
And then got the hammer, and I was like, oh, this is. I don't know what to do anymore. So I ended up like going back in the light world to go beat Thieves Town, and then I did hammer pegs because I didn't want to forget about that. This was also the first time I remembered to write in my notes in all caps. I like copy pasted it 3 different times that bosses have items. I literally always forget.
Yeah.
And it ended up being pretty nice. Like I skipped Eastern big key chests. I knew that the right side of the front Turtle Rock didn't have any items. I think those were the only 2 times it really came into. I guess Meyer as well, but but it was nice to like no, I'm not going back to Turtle Rock until I get the big key at the very least. Early Fire Rod was mostly just to Ice Palace. Sometimes people that don't do inverted soup, not that I do inverted super often, but for people who barely do it, they forget that you can just swim to Ice Palace.
Who would forget that?
Comment. No comment here, right?
I was just gonna say.
I definitely didn't beat Kyong in the mystery tournament because he forgot you didn't need mitts for Ice Palace. The only iffy decision, I guess, was after I beat Turtle Rock. All I needed was the Desert Big, and I could have just gone to Hera and then done Spike Cave after, which I wouldn't have ended up having to do because it was just right there in Hera. I chose to activate my flute and do Bat into Desert. I don't know. It was basically just like a 50-50. Yeah, I don't know. It was what it was.
Yeah, I mean, it made for an excellent race for us to watch for sure. Blaine, how were you feeling when you found the hammer? Because you got it quite a bit later than Andy. Obviously, you didn't know this, but hammer almost really didn't unlock a whole lot other than some dungeon clears. But Swamp Palace was empty, and Ice Palace was empty, and nothing that was hammer locked in pot. So how were you feeling when you did get the hammer?
It wasn't terrible, even though it was super late. I hadn't really gone to too many places where it was like, well, I've done this without the hammer. That sucks. And the places that the one-offs that I could have done if I'd had hammer early were kind of like, all right, well, just not going to go back there, and maybe it saves me some time. Guess it would have been nice to have the sword at a Thieves Town, but it gave me like very clear dungeon just to go do. Like after hammer, well, okay, now I can finally go and do Swamp Palace, and that opens up Pyramid Fairy, and I can finish off Desert, and then I can also do Ice Palace, and I figured like that was probably coming out of that sequence with everything else that I needed. So as far as things that threw me for a loop in this, the late hammer was surprisingly tame for not really being in my way because I didn't have it. There were still decent things to go and do, and didn't end up really hurting me that it was so late either.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this is going to give us a game 5. Keeps PugTrio alive. Now out of your hands, both of your hands. There was talk that Solsky and Dunka were going to race game 4, but it ended up with you two. So can maybe talk a little bit about that and your thoughts going into game 5?
I mean, there's a form of entrance in game 5, right?
I guess that determines the
take the mistakes that I made in this one and just multiply them by 20, and that would have been me in entrance. So there's.
Well, I mean, you have Aerie to help you, right? This is co-op, right? You're not by yourself.
I would love the feeling of being on a voice call and playing the role of the giant anchor around the team's neck. No, they have the experience doing co-op more recently. Obviously, they are both much better entrance players than I am. And that's kind of... I could do the least amount of damage playing in this race, I suppose. So here I was.
And for PugTrio?
God, it's just... talking about Boyne and entrance just reminded me of our last interview where I told Boyne what game 5 settings were. Because the original plan was Dunka and Solski.
Right.
It's like, nope, not doing that.
Yeah.
But the original plan was for me and Futon to do it. So we've been doing some practice, hoping that it would happen one time. Because no one ever does co-op entrance shuffle. It's a huge mess. Like, doesn't matter how good you are, how well practiced you are, it's gonna be a disaster. And so I was really hoping to get to do one of them, but since we ended up swapping, just to make sure that Futon and Solski could suffer, I swapped with Solski for game 4. Had I known that Solski only has one monitor for his streaming computer, I maybe would have chose to not swap. Because the Futon came into my stream earlier today and just complained about Solski only having one monitor.
How can you be a big time streamer with one monitor, Solski? Come on, man.
Can't steal my viewers with just one monitor, Solski.
That's true. That's very true.
All
right, so how do you guys feel? Game 5, it's all on the line. I know Boyne, you're just joining the team, kind of filling in and doing a favor for Air 216. How do you guys feel about Game 5? This is exciting.
It'll be fun to watch. I won't know what's going on, but it'll be fun to watch.
Any plans for when this potential match is going to be scheduled? Like, you want to try and get it later in the week so you can get some extra practice time, or?
I think Futon's going out of town Thursday, so. Last I saw, the plan was maybe Wednesday. Wednesday, like 5-ish p.m.
Okay, that sounds good. So we'll definitely keep our eyes peeled on the schedule for that, because if you thought that watching these two teams going basically head-to-head in series co-op veterans is going to be amazing.
I'm legitimately disappointed I'm not going to be a part of it, but I can't wait to watch the dumpster fire.
I mean, nothing better to have the entire season on the line than co-op veterans, right?
Co-op veterans with
it all comes down to this. One of you is going home, one of you continues, and it all comes down to who can not miss track one of the entrances here.
Yeah,
I love how people have been asking for co-op in the playoffs for a while, and then you're just like, okay, here you go, have fun.
Yeah, who came up with these modes, Fear? I mean,
I'll blame Dante.
Okay, well, that's I do believe there's an emo for that as well.
Yeah, blame Dante. All right, so any last thoughts before we close this out?
I just GG'd Andy again. Been fun playing a lot of him lately. This one was finally a close one. I'm sure it was a little more watchable than our more recent races. You guys behind the scenes, Clear Mouse Fear. It's gonna be fun to listen back to it. Everybody else who had fun watching. Maybe I'll get a chance to actually win one of these if we can move on. If not, there's always season 8 of League.
Season 8, huh? Blake, you did take down Andy in SGL, so that is still a win on your side.
Yeah. So now it's this was the match to kind of decide the series, and so we'll take another series loss to Andy and try to get him next time.
Yeah, certainly. I don't imagine it would be the last time for you guys to race together. So this was, by the way, a very amazing race to watch.
I'm sure it was a lot of fun. Just given how it sounds like, even the sequencing of the items, which it's really an inverted thing. Like right once you hit the light world, there's like 20 different directions you can go into. So people getting different items, going completely different directions, trying to figure out how close they are, and turns out they're very close. So it was probably a lot of fun. Can't wait to watch it back.
When you watch back, you'll see a lot of GGs, early GGs in chat when someone finds something and then realized, oh wait, the race completely flipped the other way.
Wow, so. Must be the first race that chat has ever been wrong about.
All right. Clear Mouse, thanks for doing this with me.
Oh, this was absolute blast, Fear. I'm absolutely very, very happy to be able to do this.
Yeah, I'm glad we got a really close race.
Mhm.
Big shout outs to our tracker, Scott G239. Thanks again for tracking for us, keeping us in line for all that was going on as the action was fast, furious, and hot. Make sure you follow those runners. Got the links in chat. Make sure you're following the league channels as well as our website, ALTTPRleague.com, where you can find all the information about the runners, the teams, and the playoffs as they continue on. Tomorrow, I believe we have a race between the Titans Mitts and Did You Check Your Boot, which is a game 4 as well. And then we've got some open races, which are all now in the conference finals, I believe, that start Monday, so tomorrow. So check those out as well. I think that's going to do it. Claire Mouse, I'll leave you with a last word.
All right. Well, no, I just want to echo everything that you said. Thank you again to Andy and to Blaine. Again, absolutely amazing and talented runners putting on such a tremendous display of execution, and this was quite the race in order to be able to watch. And of course, we are going to be on the lookout for Game 5, as you can see, between these two teams, Era 216 and PugTrio. It will be for Team Era 216, Dunka and Airy, facing off on Team PugTrio. It's going to be Futon and Solski. And of course, Andy, I think, alluded to potentially a Wednesday 5 p.m.-ish slot, so certainly be on the lookout for that. And of course, I think Fury mentioned Monday we do have another open league, Titans Mitts versus Did You Check Your Boots. Should be also a pretty exciting match. Yeah, until then, have a great night. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and look forward to the rest of the week.
Bye, everyone.